Hi, I'm Okira Banks, costume designer, and stylist to the stars. The fashion industry is more than who's wearing what. It's attitude, personality, and a lifestyle. It's a vibe. And in the Style Lounge, we get into it all. Your favorite guys and girls will sit on my couch and share their real stories as it pertains to their connection with fashion and how it shapes their work and life. And I want you to join us. Welcome to the Style Lounge. Get comfortable, get comfortable. My guest in the Style Lounge name was in some of your favorite hip-hop and rap lyrics in the 90s. Tupac rocked it the best, in my humble opinion. His clothing line was the street fashion line. Ladies loved it when their men rocked KANI. Welcome to the Style Lounge, KANI.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you.
Absolutely.
So the first thing I want to ask you is, what you wearing?
Today I am wearing my new black denim tuxedo jeans and a vintage ripped up KANI 40 single Supreme cotton t-shirt.
Nice. For those of you guys who don't understand what he means, he's wearing a really dope, de-stressed, slightly ripped t-shirt that's really fly by KANI.
There you go.
Nice cotton weight and some really bomb black tuxedo jeans that I had no idea that's what you were making right now. They're everything.
Thank you.
What you rocking on your face, though?
These are vintage Porsche glasses that I got when I was in Japan 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I collect them now.
Oh, do you go to that Porsche store that's on Rodeo? That's off of Rodeo?
I haven't been there yet.
Oh, they have some good stuff.
Nice.
But the collection changes quite a bit. But I have one in there, like, they did a good job giving you whatever. I guess it's for the Porsche driver. But they have some really great sneakers.
Nice.
Some really good eyewear. And if you haven't been in there yet, you're not going to get the vintage. You're going to get the new. But the vintage stuff was really dope.
I got to go check that out.
Yeah, you have to.
Sure.
It's very clean. And, like, I'm wondering if the person who designs the car is kind of, has some type of input into the collection, or they found someone who loves cars just as much, because it's cool.
It takes some of the details from the car, probably.
Yeah.
Cool.
You feel like you want to ride in your Porsche. Like,
Gotcha.
literally. It's definitely like that lifestyle
Gotcha.
vibe. Well, I want to start off by asking you, how did you start your career? Like, where did it begin? Because now you're the timeline of hip hop and fashion, and now you're no longer that. Your clothing, as I'm looking at you right now, is very mainstream and like hip and now and swagged and cool. But during that time in the 90s, like, what ignited that? How'd you start? Where'd you begin?
Yeah, well, it starts back to my childhood. I was born in Costa Rica, and my dad's Panamanian. And when we came to the U.S., I was like 3 years old. And my dad, he was a very fashionable type of guy. And when he came to the U.S., they weren't making the type of clothing that he was wearing in Panama. So he used to get his clothes tailor-made. He used to take me with him to Manhattan on Delancey Street to buy his fabrics and then bring it back to his tailor in Flatbush, Brooklyn, a Haitian guy named Jack. And Jack used to make his clothes for him. So I used to kind of see the process of how you could actually make clothing without technically knowing how to sew. My dad had ideas, and he got a tailor who knew how to sew and gave the tailor his ideas. So growing up in Brooklyn, my mom and my dad split up when I was about 10 years old, and we ended up moving into the projects in East New York. And that's when fashion became real to me, because I came outside. I was a new kid in the projects. It was 50 buildings in the projects, and all the kids hung out in the shopping center. So I came out there, the new kid on the block, and I had some sneakers on that my mother bought from the grocery store. Because back then, he used to sell sneakers in the grocery store. Yeah,
right? Mm-hmm.
So I thought I was fresh. So I came outside, a new kid, and man, those dudes are so hard. It was like, Shorty, what kind of sneakers you got on? I said, man, these I couldn't even remember the name of them. They
Kids are so mean.
They were like, those dudes are whack. They would start dissing me, and it was totally disrespectful, and I felt so bad. And I realized that to be one of the cool kids, you got to wear some dope clothing. So I went home, cried to my mom. I said, Mom, look, I need some money. I need some money to buy some clothing. These kids out here, they got new sneakers on, they got new shoes on. She's like, boy, you better go find yourself a job. That's exactly what she told me. So what did I do? I went out and I found myself a job at 12 years old.
I was going to ask you, how soon did you find that job?
I found a job within 3 weeks, I started delivering newspapers at 5:30 in the morning just to get money because I could not hang out with these kids unless I had some clothes on. So when I bought some clothing, I got respect. They was like, "Ah, shorty, you got some nice sneakers on." Now I became one of the dudes,
cool kids.
yeah, one of the cool kids on the block. And now I started realizing this is the attention that I wanted. So I thought about my dad's tailor because all my friends, we all used to shop at the same stores, so we kind of had similar outfits on, and we tried to outdress each other. So anytime we found something new, we never told each other where we got it from because we wanted to be the only ones with it.
Do you remember that time when you wouldn't tell nobody where you would get your piece from?
Absolutely. I would not give it up. So I thought about my dad's tailor, and I was like, man, you know, if I make an outfit with this tailor, none of these kids will have it on because it'd be something new. So my dad come around, and I asked him, can I make an outfit with his tailor? He's like, sure. I bought 5 yards of linen, and back then we were wearing a lot of jean suits by this company called Lee, and I made a jean suit out of linen. And I changed up the style a little bit. And when I wore it, it was like, oh, man, that's fresh. Where'd you get it from? Where'd you get it from? Now I started getting all this attention. So you know I'm not giving up the tailor information now.
No, you can't give up the tailor because that's your guy.
That's my guy. So I was like, you know what? If y'all want some, I'll make y'all one. So that's
entrepreneur.
That's kind of how it started. I started making clothes for guys in the project.
How old were you then?
I was like 14, 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
And dudes would literally come up to me, giving me money, and say, y'all want 3 of those suits? I want 2 of those suits you had on. So now, keep in mind, I got all this money from these dudes, and I don't know. I didn't take any measurements. I didn't know none of this. So I went to the tailor. I was like, look, these are some serious guys, too.
Was those the doughboys?
Exactly.
The doughboys kept,
because, you know, back then, everybody was doing it.
Everybody was, money was good.
Yeah.
And they were like Santa Claus then.
Absolutely. So I went to the tailor. I was like, look, I got these guys money, rubber band money, and they need these suits. I don't have their measurements. What should I do? He's like, don't worry. Go back to them and ask them if you could borrow an outfit that fits them. I'll take the measurements from that.
That was smart.
And so that's what I did. So there you go. I'm this young kid in the projects making clothing for these drug dealers. And the names, no name was getting out there. I wasn't putting any name in my clothing. I wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah, because you was just a happy, like you made something fresh for yourself and they liked it. And you was like, oh, I got money. Let's do it. So labels wasn't on your mind.
No label, anything. What happened was one day we were sitting in the park, and this one guy walked by. He had one of my outfits on, and I was sitting with some girls. Her name was Keisha, and I was bragging to them saying, hey, I made these outfits for that guy, Joe. They didn't believe me. They said, no, you didn't. I was like, yes, I did. They said, well, tell him to come over here. So he comes over. She's like, who made that outfit for you? He's like, KARL did. What's up? She's like, let me see your jacket. He takes it off. He shows it to her. She's like, yeah, well, if KARL made it, how come his name ain't on it then?
Whoa.
She's being a smart aleck, but she was actually right.
She was right.
She was right.
That was the bing.
That was the point. And
yes.
And that's where this doodling thing comes into play. When she said that, I was like, I need to start putting my name in the clothing. And back then, we were wearing Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein, Donna Karan.
Was there any urban fashion out at all?
There was
none.
Not one. We are the originators of urban fashion.
We are the originators.
No, bottom line.
Hold on. We are the originators of fashion.
That's it. And my brand is the originator street fashion. There's no other brand that could ever say we were here before KARL.
Right.
This ain't true. It's not factual.
No, you did it. Yeah.
Not factual. So after she made that comment, I went home and I started thinking of, I started thinking like, man, I want to be like Tommy Hilfiger. I want to be like Ralph Lauren. So I wanted to call the brand after myself. My father changed our last name when we came to U.S. because he wanted us to have an American last name. We had a Spanish last name, and KARL Williams Jeans just didn't really have a ring to it the way that I wanted.
He really went American, didn't he?
He went totally American. He went to the Williams.
The Williams, yes, he did.
So I'm like,
you can't even be a Jackson.
No. So one day I was home and I was kept doodling on a piece of paper. I was like, KARL Williams Jeans. It just wasn't happening. Can I was a question I used to ask myself all the time. Can I be successful? Can I come from the inner city and build a brand? These are all questions of self-doubt I used to ask myself. And one day I was writing the word can I on a piece of paper, and I was writing KARL and can I, and it just happened.
That is brilliant.
And it just happened. And I called a couple of my friends up, and I was like, hey, there's this new designer called KANI that's making some dope clothes. You guys ever heard of them? Of course they said no because it didn't exist. I said, what do you guys think of that name? And all my friends said, yo, I think that name's pretty dope. I think that name's pretty dope. Thanks. That's mine doing that. Sorry. I said, that name's pretty dope. So I was like, what do you guys think about that name? They said the name's pretty dope. So I said, well, that's going to be my name from now on. and that's how it all started. That's how I came up with the brand name KANI.
Wow, I had no idea.
I just changed the C to a K because I didn't want to be like Calvin Klein CK. I just wanted
No,
to be 2 Ks.
because that's all we ever knew is the 2 Ks.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize the K came from KANI.
Yeah, and that's and every day I have to answer that question. Yes, I can. So that was the motto.
And KANI always reminds you, KANI, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of like went off the whole Obama thing. KANI, yes,
KANI,
we can.
yes, we can.
Yes, we all can.
That was your mantra.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's dope. I want to know, how did you launch this fashion empire that, I mean, I hear the story how it began, but how did you launch this empire? Like, when did it shift? When did it change? And when did it take over?
What happened was, so a friend of mine, AZ, that I grew up with in the projects, he used to hustle all the time, and he got caught and caught a case. And he's supposed to go to jail for 10 years. And he skipped town and moved to California, moved to Orange County with his brother, Mark, in Orange County. And I haven't spoken to him in like 2 years. So one day he hits me up. He's like, "KARL, what you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm doing this clothing thing." He's like, "Yeah, I heard about it." He said, "Yo, why don't you come to LA and do that?" I said, "For what?" I said, "I don't even know anybody in LA." He says, "Nah, they got this new rap group out here. I think LA is going to blow up." So he sends me an Eazy-E CD in the mail back then. So I played. I was like, "Yo, this is dope. Who are these guys?" They from LA. They about to blow. I think you should come to LA and do this clothing thing out here. I could get you a lot of connects. I said, "All right, so find us a store." So he goes and he searches LA. He live in Orange County. He looks to see where all the black people hang out in LA, and he found out Crenshaw Boulevard is a spot. So he finds us a store on Crenshaw, 4312 Crenshaw Boulevard, and we open up a store on Crenshaw thinking we about to get paid. Like, we're gonna bring some New York
we
fashion.
About to get everything.
And man, nothing jumped off.
Because they was like, ain't no Chucks in here.
Ain't nothing. They was into their Dickies and
their khakis.
Yeah, every Sunday they was driving up and down Crenshaw Boulevard, and we had our store open. So we were making no money, had no food to eat. We were living in the store. We were sleeping in the sauna in the store. Because the lady that we stayed in Orange County, she kicked us out because he was renting a room from a lady, and he brought in 2 more homeboys. She's like, "Oh, y'all just get out."
Whoa.
So we were living in the store, making no money, and some entrepreneurs decided to come into our store and rob us at gunpoint. They took all of our samples, took everything. So I had a really big decision to make at that point. Do we go back to New York with our tail in between our legs, or do we stay out here and make this thing happen? So we was able to raise enough money to put an ad into Right On magazine, move to Hollywood.
Right On magazine,
yeah,
right.
We put an ad in Right On, and it kind of set it off from there. We was like the first cool kids rocking some fashion in Right On, and it kind of jumped off. And my big break came when Cross Colors was having a fashion show at the Palladium in 1991. And AZ and all my homeboys, they used to go out all the time to the clubs, trying to hustle, trying to get the brand out there. And they was like, "Yo, KARL, why don't you come out tonight? This company, Cross Colors, is having a fashion show." I was like, "Nah, I don't want to go." They was like, "KARL, just come. You never go out.
Just salty.
Come. Yeah,
like,
I
don't want to go.
Yeah, I don't want to go." So I decided to go. And Cross Colors was doing their thing. They had some financing behind them. It was a black-owned company. And I met the owner. His name is KARL Jones. And I asked him for some advice. He says, "Look, I'm in the middle of a show. You want to talk? Come to my office tomorrow. We could talk." And I remember it was Martin Luther King Day, 1991. I would go to his office, and within the first 10 minutes, he was like, "I heard about your stuff. I seen your ad in Word Up." And he says, "If you need some help, I'll be willing to help you out." And it kind of shocked me when he said that.
You're like, why?
Because where I'm from, no one just helps you out, help you out like that. So I'm thinking, this guy's trying to steal my stuff, trying to steal my designs. So I went home and I told my mom about it, and she told me to pray on it and see how you feel. And I did that, and ended up getting back with him, and we became partners. And that was the first take for us to fly
And it
off.
was real.
Yeah.
It was funny. What's so funny, you just said something which goes into my next question about, you was like, what did he want? Does he want to knock off my designs? I'm like, how do you feel about that whole trend now, people knocking off designs so rapidly and fast? I don't think anyone creates anything anymore.
No.
It's like, can you switch the button and make it do this? And just, the knockoff version is just switch a thread or give me 2 whatever. It's minor. Even with the fabric. No, it's not the same, but it is.
A cheaper version of what's real.
Or to keep it real, it can be the version that they saw on the street that you wore, and someone tries to upscale it and knock it off because that happens as well.
Yeah.
And I want to know, what's your take on that?
Well, we've been dealing with this for a long time. We've been getting knocked off since we were hot back in 92. I mean, the KANI signature we had was our main staple that everyone wanted, and the Koreans was just knocking my. They just took that logo and they put it on everything. I mean, in Chicago, gas stations were selling my stuff, beauty shops, everywhere was selling. It got to the point where regular retailers couldn't buy the regular KANI anymore because they was diluting it with all the counterfeit stuff. So what it taught me, and I realized, is that life and this business is all about keep things moving to the next level. So it made me think deep as to how can I stop them from counterfeiting my brand. I realized I can't stop them, but what I could do is change my brand and make it better. So we came up with a metal plate to put on my clothing. So it made me think, what can I do to not to slow them down? So I knew they wouldn't want to invest into metal plates and clothing. So that's why we came up with the metal plate to put on our clothing, and it ended up being one of our biggest sellers anyway. So
because it made it authentic and signature.
Exactly.
And they don't want to pay that extra 85 cents
No.
for that or a dollar. Look out, no. All about that.
Yeah,
yep.
they're gonna do that. So that was kind of like it's taught me a lesson. It just really taught me you got to keep on moving, and no one feels sorry for you in this business if you're getting counterfeited. Like, you got to keep your brand going by any means necessary.
Any means necessary.
Yeah.
You said your first design was, because I look at you as one of the global ambassadors, and to maintain that and transition, especially coming from hip hop fashion.
Yeah.
My thing is, how did you keep the transitioning going? Like, how did you move from, I mean, I know the times can push you to do it, but what made you really take that move to move from hip hop fashion, culture, fashion, urban fashion, to now where you are now? Because I still follow you. I still follow what you're doing.
Right.
And I feel like, I don't know if you're doing stuff other places, but I see how you've transitioned to the now, and you've done it well.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, I will tell you that we've been blessed to being able to have laser focus on our business, and we live this every day. Like, we're not one of those brands that's going to be here today and gone tomorrow. When we reached a glitch in our business here in the USA market, when all the competition came on the market, our sales had a big impact on us, and it decreased tremendously back in 2000. And we had to get to the point where we had to figure out our next move. And we had the international market knocking on our doors for years. People from Japan, Korea, Germany, Switzerland, Amsterdam, buying a little bit of KARL KANI here and there. And they had this one dorky guy named William from Amsterdam. He came to me. He was buying our product. First he placed like a $5,000 order. Then he comes back and he placed a $10,000 order. Then he placed a $25,000.
You're like, wait a minute.
We're like, what is this guy
What is he
doing all this
doing?
stuff?
Yeah.
Then he comes to me and says, KARL, I want to distribute your stuff in Europe. Let me be a distributor in Europe. And this is back in 1999. And he's like a little dorky guy. We was like, who is this guy?
Do not judge the dorky
I
guy.
know that. I realized that.
Mm.
So he comes, and he ended up being my biggest partner. He saw, and we didn't know this, how much impact hip-hop had on the world in his community. I'm talking about kids from all different nationalities. Some can't even speak English, but they wanted part of this culture, and this fashion was part of the culture, and they wanted it. So he ended up selling us up in Amsterdam. Within 2 years, he had our clothing distributed in 25 foreign countries. And today we have 10 stores in Japan with a company, Mitsubishi, who distributes KARL KANI in Japan. And we are in Saudi Arabia. And all these continents are deep on hip-hop. And what's beautiful about that country and those regions, they want the original brand of hip-hop. They're not here, like in the U.S., we kind of just flip and move
And
what's hot.
we kind of, if it dissolves and we move on to the next thing. Not them.
Yeah,
they're loyal.
They're very loyal. They even have college courses on hip hop.
But that, like, hip hop is the culture now, almost that's mainstream culture.
Absolutely,
to me,
yeah.
right now. Like,
Absolutely.
even in the dance, it's insane, from the dance to the clothing, and you are that originator of urban hip hop clothing, so he has a direct contact.
Absolutely. And it was one of the best moves we made. And that's why, when they say when one door shut, many open. So we were off the USA market for quite a few years as these other brands were doing their thing here. But we knew eventually we'd come back and take back our position here, because we knew they would burn themselves out, because we know how difficult
You know
it
how the
is.
fashion industry
We know how it
goes.
works,
Yeah,
and we know how difficult it is to sustain this business, and we know so many people they're not going to do this over extended period of time because
it's a hype. Like, oh, I'm about to start a clothing line, and
yeah,
it's like, no, like just because you fly, don't mean everybody else gonna like your flyness.
exactly, and we know like eventually it's going to come back full circle. So and it did, and our plan worked.
So your largest distribution right now is overseas, is in
Absolutely,
Europe
yeah, Europe
and
and Japan.
Japan.
Yeah,
That's
Europe
what's
and
up.
Japan. Yeah, and it's been that way for
See,
the last 15 years, I would say.
and now you kind of, I feel like reintroducing it back to the States right now. Like,
Our plan is to we're reintroducing it to the new young generation.
yeah,
Because
the
now
millennials, because
they want 90s. They want 90s
90s
fashion.
is hot.
Because they didn't grow up on it. All they could do is see images of their favorite artists from back then wearing it, but they don't experience the culture.
Like, it's crazy how some of them, your high-end designers like Gucci and I would say, well, I feel like Roberto Cavalli always did it. They are pretty much cloning what was made in the 90s.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and putting it back out there without changing it much at all. Maybe the emboss of the lettering may get a little larger or smaller, but they pretty much are like, oh, let's just grab that and do that again.
It was pretty interesting. If you see what happened with Gucci and Dapper Dan recently, Dapper Dan was making the Gucci and Polo MCM really hot back in the days, and they shut them down. And Gucci came out with a line pretty much mimicking all the styles Dapper Dan did, and they got a lot of backlash
I
via
saw
social
that.
media.
No, I saw it.
So
yeah.
what did they do? Which they went in now and hired Dapper Dan.
Dapper Dan.
And I don't know how I feel about that. I'll be honest, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, how do you feel about it? Because that's a lot to be said, again, about fashion and, style matters, and we created a lot. And so they tried to, I feel like, do damage control and say, let's bring him in so we can make this cool because we can't steal it because of social media.
People call them out. Why
yeah.
you steal
and they don't want to
style?
deal with the raft of people boycotting and not wearing their clothing.
So what I felt should have happened, and if Dapper Dan is listening, Dapper Dan should start his own brand with his own name on it. Do you know what I mean? Like, because if you're going to design your own stuff, don't make Gucci more hotter. Make yourself hot.
But then you're right. But then the thing is, he would have had those investors to help him do that. Like, he would have had people, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what his machine situation is.
Yeah.
But I say the same thing. Or he could have posted some stuff on social media and, the Connect would have made it run.
People got love for Dapper Dan, He's
no, I love Dapper Dan,
OGs,
yeah.
So I think he would have got the support. But anyway, maybe he will do it.
Well, maybe after this will
launch him
to his own thing.
And I hope so. I hope it does, because he definitely inspired me as well. I'll tell you a story. We used to go uptown back in the days. Like you said, back in the days, drug dealing was very, very popular. And they used to have crack houses, and people used to be lined up around the corner.
Doe Money has started a lot of business today.
They used to be lined up around the corner to buy crack. And one day we was uptown, we seen people lined up, and I was driving by, and it's like, I told my friend, they don't like crackheads on that line right there. He's like, nah, they're going there to buy something from this guy named Dapper Dan. He's making these sweatsuits. I'm like, whoa. I'm thinking to myself, you could get that kind of money making clothing. And when we saw it, Mike Tyson used to go there. Everybody used to go to Dapper Dan, spend $5,000-$6,000 for a sweatsuit. It rung a bell in my head. Like, I didn't know you could get that kind of money making clothing. So that inspired me. And I was like, but I'm going to do my own brand.
And I'm about to get some of this Dapper Dan.
Yeah.
We gonna share this wealth.
You feel me? So yeah, that's kind of like, he's very inspirational for what he done.
I think what has happened today, and I don't know, you can tell me how do you feel about this. Do you feel like everything's overly saturated?
In clothing?
Clothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's so much product out there, so many things. So many brands are not real about what they're doing. And, so I feel like the strong and the real brands will survive, because right now it's not that easy to sustain.
It's longevity.
Yeah.
It's taking your time and doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely longevity. And if you make the decision that you're going to be in this for the longevity run, you have to go with the highs and lows. But I feel like what it does is it prepares that person, that designer, and that entrepreneur to be able to maneuver, like you said.
Absolutely.
Now look at you. You're throughout Germany and Japan.
Yeah,
Not stopping your boat, but it happened.
It happened, and we are very focused on our future, and we know we have a long way to go. Because like when I first started, Ralph Lauren was probably one of my inspirations, and Ralph Lauren started in 1967. Before I was even born, and he still continued to grow. And we have a long way to go, and we will continue to grow this brand and become a legacy brand for our people.
Do you feel like you're going to make KARL KANI a little bit more lifestyle, urban flair of Ralph Lauren it's very lifestyle. It's
Yeah.
very clean cut lifestyle. Do you see KARL KANI being that for the culture,
Yeah,
or just for
absolutely.
now?
And I'll tell you something else too. What's really cool about the vision right now. You notice the one thing Ralph Lauren, Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein, Donna Karan, Giorgio Armani have in common?
What?
They're all public companies.
They're all public.
They're all public companies. And that tells you a lot, because not every year, not every season is going to be your best season in this business. So even if they have a bad season, you'll never know.
You'll never know.
You'll never know they have a bad season. They'll even spend more money on advertising
to make it seem like it's bigger than what
Absolutely.
I've heard that. I've read about that.
Yeah, so when things are bold, you spend more
money
that time to cover
to
it
stay
up.
more relevant.
Absolutely.
And so you remind people when this is over that we're still relevant.
Exactly. So we're gonna take a page out there.
We're gonna take a page out of their book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You gotta learn from the best.
Be calling KARL for some mentorship
You know
information. Yeah, that's real good.
Absolutely.
Okay, so because you're that guy who has created fashion, urban fashion, and you're pretty much a legend in the business. You have to, take ownership to that, because hip hop knows you.
Right.
We know you, and now the millennials are starting to get to know you. I want to know, what are your favorite looks for yourself at the grocery store? Grocery store caller is what we're going to call you. Call that.
I'm
you go to the grocery store, don't you, KARL?
I do.
I mean,
I know I do.
I was about to say,
I cook my own food. And
do
I go
you
to the
really
store.
cook? Because for you guys who don't know, his daughter is a master chef. She's amazing. You'll be hearing about her. So I don't know if he really cooks. Are you really cooking, KARL?
No, I do cook. I tell you about Kai though. When Kai does cook, it ain't for everyone. Kai makes her nice little meals for Instagram, takes little photos, and nothing's left after that.
Oh, it's all presentation.
All presentation. It's funny. She even sometimes she makes things. Now she's strictly vegan. She'll make things that she'll even eat just for her presentation purposes. So, but I get a lot of secrets from her.
She got her Martha Stewart on.
She does. I get a lot of secrets from her. So, my clothing is pretty much
grocery store clothing.
Boring clothing, I think, because I wear black most of the time because it makes me not have to think.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I have noticed every time I see you, if I stop through, it's like, okay, well that's easy.
Right. And because as a designer, I put so much effort into designing for other people. When it comes to myself, I want to keep it simple because I don't a lot of thought. I try to simplify my life, but I wear different versions of. I don't wear the same black outfit.
Different versions of black.
Different versions of black. So
I'm doing that right now.
If you see me in the grocery store, I probably have some black sweatpants and a black T-shirt. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Black sweatshirt, baggy, loose, or
always baggy.
Cruise.
Grocery store is always baggy. Grocery store is always.
Because you never know who you about to run into.
Exactly. That's always the baggy look in the grocery store.
Designer KARL, in designer frame KARL, what is he wearing?
Well, on designer frame KARL, I'm wearing some straight leg fitted pants and a fitted top, maybe tuxedo top, some wool or linen pants, and as terms of footwear, I love Tom Ford footwear and Yves Saint Laurent footwear.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can wear those.
So I'm kind of I play within that area there. The footwear game got to be tight.
The footwear game has to be tight.
Absolutely. You can't play around with footwear. That's mandatory, and then everything else is
you can dispose or do a little disposal, a little high, low fashion, mix
exactly.
this
mix
hot.
And match a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, chilling at home, KARL.
Chilling at home, KARL. I would say I like nylon for some reason. I like to wear nylon a lot, and back in the days we used to wear this brand called BBD, and this be nylon tank tops and t-shirts. So I like to rock that. It's very comfortable, and I like to lounge in that a lot.
And at the gym, KARL, because you real fit, KARL.
Yeah.
For you guys who don't know, he on.
I like the gym because actually part of the gym, and it really inspired me back in the 90s, in the late 90s, when all the competition was coming on the market. My business was really getting affected, and I needed an outlet. And I don't know, I just psych myself up to go against the competition, and they inspired me to get up every morning and go work out because I felt like this business is warfare, first of all, and it's all mental. And your physical and your mental has to go together. You got to be physically and mentally strong and physically strong to sustain. And I realized that, and I knew that this whole business is a marathon, not a sprint. And I wanted to mentally outlast all my competition. And I knew that they're not going to eat as well as me. They're not going to work out as well as me. So they're going to burn themselves out before me because this is my game and I got to set the rules and change the game again. So it just helped me out psychologically to go work out and to do those type of things to sustain over a long period of time. So I felt like...
So KARL Jim would be wearing, while he's doing all this...
I would be wearing... I wear sweatpants. Oh, and they have zipper pockets.
See?
Because I put my iPod in there. I still have an iPod. People laugh at me with an iPod. Like, no one uses iPod anymore. What's going on with that?
No, they do other things. I don't know. They have their headphones. They have their, what do you call it?
People use their phone and stuff like that. I don't know. I like iPods because I have my music on there. I have like different workout 1 music, workout 2. I have like different songs because it helps me on the treadmill.
Got it.
You know what I mean? So like when I'm on the treadmill, I like to listen to songs that I like. So that way
you feel like you're going somewhere.
Well, no, the time goes by faster. You know what I mean? I don't like to look at the clock. I cover it with a towel.
I do the same thing. See, that's the Gemini. We're cerebral.
There you go.
So I want to say thank you, KARL, for coming in. Man, you were a wealth of information.
Thank you.
And this was good. I had no idea that KANI was from KANI.
And my name now legally is KARL KANI, by the way, just so you know that.
Oh, word.
I failed the test twice the citizenship test. Let me ask you, who wrote the Star Spangled Banner?
I don't know.
See, I didn't know neither. That's why I failed. How many stars on the flag?
50.
I think it's 52.
Is it 52 now? Oh, because Puerto Rico.
How many senators are there for each state?
Ooh, I used to know that. Is it like 32?
Okay, basically, this is why I failed. I didn't know all these. These are the questions they actually...
Wait. What I will tell you is I would have known all these questions when I was in middle school. Because that's all the questions they ask you in middle school that you knew.
I knew none, but I studied for the last time and I passed.
So now it's 52 stars because it used to be 50 the last time. But I know we took over Puerto Rico and someone else.
I think it's 52. So... and legally KARL KANI now, so I'm good.
Where can we find you again?
Well, you can find us at KarlKani.com. We have a big business going on right now with Shoe Palace, which they have like 200 stores in LA, and Chic Shoes. They have my new line, the Vintage Collection, so everybody check them out.
All right, that's what's up. KARL KANI in the house. We made it easy for you to find us. Follow us on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram at Style Lounge Podcast. Search for Style Lounge. The Style Lounge is executive produced by K.O. Banks Productions and is recorded at Rick D's Entertainment Studios in Burbank, California. Michael Motion is our engineer and editor. Music for the show is produced by Eric Dawkins for E-Flat Music Group. Style Lounge is produced by Unreal.
Unreal! It's TV on the radio.